All right. Well, I'm glad you all chose this hour, because the first hour I got to just chit-chat with a bunch of people. Okay? So, no, that's good. I love the larger group, and it'll be more interesting conversation. Okay? I'm not a stand up here and talk to you. I get bored after 10 minutes listening to myself, okay? So this is going to be interactive, and in participation, we'll make it successful or not. Okay? You've all been warned. All right? Somebody look at me and say, be quiet at 12:30, okay? Or all of you could just say, be quiet, or time's up, or something. Okay, so we're here, and let me just tell you the name in case you're in the wrong place, and then you can leave. It's Engaging to Reach Women in Rural Churches. And if that's... well, then you can leave.
You're supposed to be here. You're in the youth room.
That's the youth.
Okay. You can keep your candy.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Good seeing you.
Get along without me.
We'll try. That's hilarious. Okay, Engaging to Reach Rural. This is the hardest title for me to even say. Engaging to Reach Women in Rural Churches. Okay? So when I heard that title, I was perplexed at first. Okay? Because my thoughts went from, well, women are women no matter where they live, to what does rural even mean? Anybody with me on that? Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of background for me. So last July, my husband took the pastorate at a church in Abilene, Kansas. Okay? So we left Topeka of 126,000 people, and we moved to Abilene of 6,500 people. Now, some of you live in towns smaller than that, right? And you're just going to say, stop whining, Mary. You live in a big city, get over it, okay? But it was such a change for me to move to this small town. I'd never lived in a small town like that before. And so I'm like whining because there's no movie theater. The Great Plains Theater that does plays and stuff, once in a while they'll show a movie, like an actual movie. So far, I've never been there when they've done it. And there's no place to get ice cream. Okay, unless you, they used to have a Dairy Queen, but it closed. And so they have McDonald's and Sonic, but that's not ice cream, okay? I know, I should stop whining. They have Russell Stover's, and they have hand-dipped ice cream, but they close before Dave and I crave ice cream at the end of the day, okay? So that's been an adjustment. We have a very small grocery store, 2 small grocery stores. So I go to Topeka Tuesdays and Thursdays at least to work at the Baptist building. And so then I just go, and the first time I walk into Dillon's, I just stand there. And I look around at all my choices, and it's just really exciting, okay? And we have only 6 restaurants to choose from. I know, some of you are like, oh, wah, wah. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not talking about fast food restaurants, but 6 sit-down restaurants. And they're all very good. We've been to them like 50 times already because that's your choices, okay? So I've had quite a cultural adjustment. And so been studying, not just for this conference on rural women, but also I'm living in that situation. And I've already made a couple faux pas as a pastor's wife, okay? But hopefully I'll learn quickly. So I want to do something fun to start with. How can we do this? I want to divide you, okay? So Betty and Karen and Shirley, you 3 kind of huddle up. You 3 huddle up. You 2 and in the back behind you huddle up. You 3 huddle up and you 4. Okay? Now, you have been you have been marooned on a deserted island. Okay? What are 5 items that you would take with you? If you knew you were going to be marooned on this island, what are 5 things you would take? Now, it's not each of you 5, but the group has to come together as 5 things. Okay, now here's the one. You all are going to say your Bible, and you all are going to say your cell phone, so those 2 can't count. Okay? We already assume that's the case. Okay? So you have to agree, each group agrees on 5 things. Go. If each of you were on a deserted island, but the 5 items have to be a united list.
That's what we weren't sure if we were all
Yeah.
together.
Oh, no. Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Is this a tropical island or like a desert island?
You decide. You're marooned on an island.
That's true.
Okay, who's finished? What groups are finished? Okay. Little less than 2 minutes. It's your island. You're going to Hawaii. Okay, is everybody done? Y'all done? Linda, is your group done? Okay, if we're all done, let's hear what you would say. So Shirley, your group, go first. Okay.
And some type of food like jerky that would keep. Matches, water, and vitamins or meds.
Okay, next group. Did you add anything different?
Yes. We added a hatch
Oh.
Rope or string and a tarp, and also a water purifier.
Oh.
I got two sharp ladies.
Okay, what about in the back there? Anything?
We're adding husband or man.
Okay.
And we discussed whose husband was the one that didn't complain.
Oh, okay. Non-complaining husband or man. Okay, anything new? Wait a second. A pot? Pot or a pan? Okay, anything else? Okay, how about this group?
We didn't like a shovel or a knife.
Okay, knife, shovel. Anything else? Whoa, you are truly back to nature. They're going to create their own fire. Okay, did you all have anything to add?
We did have companion, we didn't say. It had to be a man.
Okay. A what? Hymnal. Okay.
Otherwise, all the rest of us
Were said. You guys, that's really good, isn't it? Because if you chose an island that had fruit, then you'd eat fruit.
We can catch our fish with our string.
Okay.
we figured we could make string out of the palm bark.
Woo! Have you guys watched the Survivor shows?
Watch hatchet or red hatchet.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Very good.
Take a cell phone because there's no cell reception.
Oh, you know what? One year I had to go to the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, okay? Madagascar, Seychelles, Mauritius, and I went into AT&T and I said, will I have cell phone? And of all of those islands, it was lit up pink. And he goes, I can't believe that. So maybe you would have cell service. I don't know. No, it wasn't deserted. Okay, and of course, all of you would have your Bible and your cell phone, okay? So when I landed in Abilene, I kind of felt like I had landed on an island. My husband is from Savannah, Missouri, which is a very small town. He was raised on a dairy farm. He's quite at home. And a lot of the people in our church are farmers, ranchers, and I told them I touched a cow once at a petting zoo, and they all laughed at me. And one has threatened to bring me out when it's branding time. And I said, doesn't that hurt them? And he goes, well, yeah, they don't like it too much. He told me I'd have to find different shoes because all of my shoes are too city-fied, he said. But anyway, so I had to learn how to function in this new. Now, I love Abilene, and my husband and I would go there a lot because it's got antique stores everywhere. And still at my age, I'm buying antiques when technically I am one already, but still buying them. We love that the Brookville Hotel is there. And if you haven't ever eaten at Brookville Hotel, it's like all you can eat fried chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, coleslaw. You know, you can't go wrong there, right? So, so I thought, okay, I'm going to start thinking rule. What does this look like? I have training. Lots of training in how to engage to reach women, okay? But I had to start thinking differently. And through the last, what has it been, 6 months? 7, 8 months? I don't know. I have discovered that rural women think a little differently than city women. And y'all are going, and all of you should be teaching this class and not me, okay? So I decided to find out first, what does rural mean? Okay, so I went to the U.S. Census Bureau and got their definition of rural. And they said that rural, see that they have rural, suburban, and urban, 3 classifications, okay? So rural is any population cluster, town, village, city under 50,000 is considered rural. Okay? So I brought this map of Nebraska that we had around the convention. So that basically means from here over is all rural. I know. Okay? Under 50,000 is considered rural.
Kearney is considered rural.
Kearney's rural. Yeah.
Everyone's in rural all the time.
And so the nearest city to Abilene is Salina. Well, Salina has like 49,000, so just under 49,000, so they're technically still rural. Yeah. Well, we would argue that rural is a little smaller than that probably, but the Census Bureau, I assume they're always right. So so today we're going to talk about you. Anybody live in a suburban or urban area over 50,000? Okay, what's the smallest town represented? What's you?
Oh, I got you beat, Marty. Oh, okay. 69.
People?
And where do you, oh,
I'm in Kimball, Crookston,
Crookston.
11 miles west of Elton.
Wow. That's like there should be another category other than rural. Yeah. And where did you say you lived? Lodgepole. And how many? 150. Okay. Really? Okay, well, okay. So we're going to be talking about us today, okay? Let's see. When my husband became pastor, I left a church of, 300 or 400, okay? Well, we left a church of 300 or 400. And we went to Abilene, and they had like 20 on high Sundays, okay? So that was a change, right? That's a very big change. And some of you are like saying that's a big church, right? Okay. And we're made up mostly of elderly people. Okay, we're all together here. And the majority are women. Yeah? Yeah? A third man? Okay. So then I started thinking, so I understood what rural is, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Then I started thinking about women. Women are women no matter where they live. If you think that's true, stand up. Whoa. Okay? What I've discovered is generally speaking, women do, no matter where they live. We have some commonalities. Okay? We really do. But the mindsets, lifestyles, cultural things are very different in a rural setting compared to an urban setting. I did some work. North Platte has a population of 24,000. This is the U.S. Census of 2018, so maybe it's different now. 24,000. The average age is, what would you think? 54? Actually, it's 38.
I would say close to 40.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then I went to Sidney, Nebraska. Hey, Sidney has 6,600, so they're bigger than my town at 65. Okay? And do you know they're not there anymore? So in a year it's changed. Cabela's left. Okay. All right. The what?
the population sign coming into town says 62, right?
Is that right? Okay. And then a year ago, the average age was 39. But you say that has changed maybe? Okay. In Abilene, our average age is 54. Okay. So, very close to the same population. But you had Cabela's, which I'm sure attracted younger people. Yeah. 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 Now many have left. Okay. I got to erase this because we're going to do some more work. Now this comes to your candy. Okay? And as you use a piece of candy, you can eat it, or you can stick it in your pocket and not ruin your lunch. Does that sound like Mom? So I told you to take up to 1 to 3 pieces of candy, right? So depending on how many pieces you took is how many answers you're going to give to this question. Yeah. No, you don't have to count the one you ate when you came in. Okay? So we're going to talk about reaching rural women in churches. Okay? So what characteristics do rural women have that are much needed in your churches? What characteristics do rural women have that are much needed in your churches? Yes, ma'am.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem?
Mm-hmm. Self-worth, maybe. Yes.
Okay. How many pieces of candy did you have? 3. Okay, you got 2 more. We can come back to you, but lay one down. Uh-huh.
I think they have grit.
Ah. Grit, love it. Yes.
Strength of character.
Okay. Can you know that's character?
To be able to speak like a brutal honesty, but yet with love, you know. That speak and it speak truth in love.
Okay. Okay.
Everyone knows everyone else.
Is that a positive?
Said not gossip.
Huh?
I didn't hear that word.
Is that a positive? So 3 days after we moved to Abilene, I went to the grocery store to get some stuff, and they said, "You're new in town." I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Did you buy that house with the big front porch?" And I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." You know? Okay, so they know everybody's business, but you said they're not gossipy.
The one in the church is very important. There's someone there that can be a role model that does not gossip, that, you know, they
Okay.
you know, that's not my story to tell, or, you know, someone that shows that it doesn't have to be the way.
Dependable, but it can be negative or positive.
Dependable and dedicated, hardworking.
Trustworthy.
A lot of hospitality.
Oh, yes. Great cook. Good cook. You know, as the kids used to say.
It's not a positive one, but you're wrong with that, there's a lot of stubbornness.
That can be a good thing.
They have to.
Depends on how you are independent.
What did you say there's a lot of?
Stubbornness.
Stubbornness. Okay. So on the positive side, could we say loyal?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So,
Every rural person I knew had those.
so self-esteem, worth, grit, strength of character, speak honestly in love, independent, knows everyone, but they're not gossipers, dependable, dedicated, trustworthy, hospitality is good, great cook, and loyal. Okay, now on the other side, let's talk about the challenges. Friendly? Yeah. I heard somebody say hardworking. Okay, what are the challenges of reaching rural women? Stubborn?
It can be good or bad.
And the gossiping,
Yeah.
untrustworthy. Judgmental.
With capital letters,
Yes.
What?
drugs and alcohol.
Drugs and alcohol with women? It is, but hold on to that thought.
Judgmental.
Judgmental?
Those.
Ooh, how would we say those people? Outsiders?
No, people in the church. The
Oh,
hopeless and the lost and the ones we try to reach as
those people.
Like they're less than.
Okay? Any other challenges?
People forming cliques.
Clicks? That's a 2 B's there, by the way. Okay?
And I would think the opposite, loneliness. Well, all of it could be in the city.
Two-faced or not genuine, you know?
Not
Not real.
genuine.
Coming from a huge city, that's something I've found to be more here than there. If you found a Christian in New York City, you found somebody who was strong and standing up because it took a lot to do that. Here, we just go to church because that's grandma expects us there.
Yes.
And so,
Following tradition too sometimes. Get some,
In a way. Following tradition instead of having their own.
Self-centered.
Okay, I think we're going to stop because you're making me depressed. Okay? Okay. If you look at those, I heard some of you say, this is big city too. And that's true. You're going to find this in big city too. However, in doing my research on rural America, this part right here, and poverty and drugs and alcohol are at a faster rate of rising than in big cities. Okay. Oh, and the other one that is huge and is rising is suicide. Okay, and not just amongst teenagers, but amongst adults.
We've had 2 weeks in a week.
You've had 2 suicides in a week's time.
One young man, 2 of our members are at the funeral today. He was 27, and the other young man was not living in our area anymore. He was 40.
So a 27-year-old man and a 40-year-old man both committed suicide. Wow. So there's
One was from a church family.
neither one from a church family. Okay. Well, because of, if we go back to our map, because most of this state is characterized as rural, okay, here's what's happening in rural America. They're all on a decline, and most of the counties that are in this Nebraska area show a decline. Would you agree with that? So, why? Why is rural America declining? Okay, jobs, economy, taxes, online shopping.
because it's closing all the little stores.
Yes. And everybody's moving into the cities, and it's
Yeah, you guys are really stomping on my toes because I just like the convenience of online shopping. And I know it's killing. I know it. I know.
And cheaper sometimes.
Yeah, well, even us, we want to keep our money, in our community and stuff to help those, but if we can get it so much cheaper, another route, a lot of times we'll do that.
Okay. Okay.
And farming and ranching is, you can't buy into that anymore.
No.
You've got to grow up in it, and it's some of the hardest work, some of the most satisfying, I can get that.
You mean you can't buy land and start?
Buy land and start on your own if you don't, you can't afford to do that, so.
In order to make a living, you have to have a lot of land, but you can't afford it.
And more and more farmland is going in the hands of fewer people because of, they can farm it.
And I read, and tell me if it's true out here, is that farming itself has become more computerized and stuff, which means they don't need as many hands doing the job.
Sprinklers from his computer at home.
He runs his sprinkler system from his computer at home.
Our granddaughter, when she married her husband, they were going to work with their dad on a dairy farm. But big business took it. There was, they lost everything. So he's now working for a pig farmer. And before, he was the farmer.
He was the farmer, and now he's working for a farmer. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I went to a site called Pew Research, and this is some things that I found about rural America. 63% of rural residents have lived in their area 11 years or longer. Okay? How many of you have lived in your area more than 11 years? Okay, so this statistic is correct in this room.
One setting, or can you move and come back?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah,
We've got a lot of people that have lived here all of their lives.
sure. And then they said 40% of people who live in rural areas know all their neighbors. Yeah? When I lived in Topeka, we moved from Manhattan to Topeka, and we bought a house in a little, like, Sherwood Park area, okay? And so the houses are close together and all that kind of stuff. And so we moved in, and about 3 days later, I finally saw my neighbor come in her drive, so I ran over there, my neighbor to the east. I ran over there, introduced myself. We stood there and talked for half hour, 45 minutes. And at the end, she said, she hugged me. We just met. I'm okay with hugs with people I just met. But we hugged each other, and she was crying, and she goes, I've lived here for 11 years and never had the previous neighbor come over and speak to me. And we shared backyard fences, you know? So being neighborly is not a city thing that I learned, because I grew up in North Topeka, which is really pretty rural, and neighbors were just, we knew our neighbors. We always did. And I've always made that a habit of knowing my neighbors. In Abilene, we have 3 cats that have become our neighbors. And this summer, I hope that I find out who they belong to, because they've turned our yard into their litter box. And those kitties need to go somewhere, okay? They need to go see someone. I don't care who, okay? Now, here's another fact I learned from Pew Research. Many of the least church regions are in rural America. The least churched people live in rural America. Why? You agree with that? Why? What do you think's the cause of that? Isolation, okay? Too busy, okay?
The ranchers in our area, they're feeding cattle in the morning when church, and some churches accommodate that, they have services at night, but most people are too busy. If they've got kids, parents, so many activities.
Okay, so farming requires 7 days, 24 hours, okay? And sports, sure, sure.
And I think in Sydney specifically, they have been known for 150 years as the roughest town on the tracks, and that's still kind of their pride and joy.
Sydney, roughest town on the tracks, okay?
At one point, I think, what was it, 150 brothels?
Really? Wow.
But that's been a long time.
Well, but they still, even the police still wear a badge that say
Roughest town on the track. That's interesting.
nothing to do with this.
Okay, but did you know that of all the United States, 14% live in rural America? 14% of the entire population of the United States lives in a rural setting. Okay? Rural women are more likely to have sex and marry earlier than urban women.
I have trouble.
You do?
Well, I was in high school in Kearney.
More private areas.
There's nothing to do. Yeah.
But see, I don't consider Kearney rural.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that last thing?
No, it just says rural women are more likely to have sex and marry earlier. And then rural women are more likely to experience partner violence, domestic violence, sexual abuse from their spouse. And you all are agreeing with that. That's interesting. Quality of, and this is not me, this is Pew Research, quality of education for children and teens is declining in rural areas, mostly due to the digital age. Okay, so big city kids, they live and breathe, digital stuff. Smaller towns, villages, does there anybody here that doesn't even have access to internet anymore? So everybody has access, okay? It might be slow. No? It's all good? Awesome. It's not? Okay.
There's a lot of times your reception goes out and the church does not have it.
Okay.
Where my kids live, South Cody.
Hardly have any. Yeah. Yeah.
And part of
Yeah.
the school issue is you can't attract young teachers. Yeah. Or new teachers.
Not as many.
Sometimes it's hard to live in that area
Okay.
financially.
So it's a shortage of younger teachers and
And they don't want places that don't have quite the diversity, there's not that
Sure.
opportunity.
Well, and sometimes it has to do with the school board, they're old boys, the old school.
Politics.
They're hard to break the ways and get the new things in for the kids.
The way we've always done it.
okay. Okay. Okay.
When we first moved here from New York, right outside New York City, we took a group to Lincoln, and we went to the mall. They didn't do anything but go up and down the escalator. There were 12 kids 10 years ago who had never seen an escalator,
Yeah.
and they spent all night going up and down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. At a national teen girls conference several years ago, it was in Kansas City, and my job assignment was to stand by the escalator and be the escalator police. You've got to go to the breakout sessions. You can't just ride up and down this escalator. So yeah, that's interesting. Well, what we find in Abilene, and you may find in your area, is that when they graduate from high school, they go off to college and they're gone. Yeah.
I have to say something good for rural.
We're going to get there.
Because we've been here a year, and I really like the school system and that it's more family oriented, and we don't test and do homework all the time, and I can be with my kids rather than always doing homework or testing.
Okay.
It's been a great, where do you live?
Good.
Where do you live?
She's being coming. Yeah.
And they actually do have iPads for each child and everything.
Really?
Because with the size of the school, they're able to do so much more. And we have so much support in the community for the school that they'll get them whatever they feel they need.
Wow, that's good. Binkelman, Nebraska. Yeah.
I was raised there.
Yeah.
I'm born there.
You were born there. Yeah. Good. Good.
That's awesome. That's
Okay.
not every area is like that.
Well, listen, how many of you know who Ed Stetzer is? Anybody ever heard of Ed Stetzer? Thank you, Sarah. You know you're truly SBC when you know who Ed Stetzer is. He works now, he was the executive director of the Billy Graham Center, okay? And this is what he says about rural America. They have started, because they see rural America as the next new emphasis for reaching people for Christ. And so they've started this thing called Rural Matters, and you can go online and sign up to get their reports and blog posts, but it's Rural Matters, okay? And this is what he says about rural America. Now look at our list in the blue, okay, the positives, and see if he doesn't hit these. The story of rural America is one of grit, resourcefulness, independence, craftsmanship, and sheer determination. Okay? He says it's the story of community, lifelong relationships, and family bonds. And this image of rural America holds a nostalgic place in many hearts. Okay? Even though they may have moved to the big city, they still have those tender feelings for where they grew up. They may not want to go back, but they have the feelings there, okay? Those who live in or have spent significant time in rural areas may have witnessed its endurance. Did we say perseveres? We probably should have. The warm-heartedness of neighbors, the firmness of family values, and the closeness of relationships and community. Okay? But some of what he just said in that last part, the firmness of family values and the closeness of relationships and community, this is helping diminish that. Okay? So we've had this huge emphasis on big cities. If we go to the big cities and start churches and start churches and start churches, we will reach the world. Okay? But now they're finding that rural America is a wide open mission field. Okay? So, what does all this have to do with reaching rural women? Okay, everybody take a breath because now it's your turn to talk. I just want to know, and we might not have time for everyone, but how many have lived in rural America for most of your life? Wow, almost all of you. Wow, where are you from? Lincoln, okay. And you're from New York?
We lived there, we were born and raised in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay,
New York.
okay, big city, yeah.
I lived in Denver 16 years.
Okay. Okay, if you were living in rural America when you came to faith and started going to church, how did you get there? How did you get involved in church or come to be a Christian? Family. Your parents, okay? Your parents set the example? Okay, how else?
I was 10 years old in Lubbock, Texas, and it was my state girls auxiliary teacher
Okay,
that started me.
okay,
We had a family in the church that would come every Sunday and pick my brothers and I up and take us to church.
okay, all right.
Started my
So a significant person in your life, okay?
I got there through sobriety. I'm a recovering addict, and then, we had to find a higher power,
Uh-huh.
and I needed to be around others that Jesus Christ was their higher power too.
So did you just walk into a church?
It's amazing how God put the people in my life, and I have tried churches, and I felt very judged and not accepted, and I just couldn't find it. And then, I walked into their church, and they loved me, and they welcomed me, and they good.
They saw good. Good. Because when you were created in God's eye, he saw good. Yeah. Good. Anybody else?
When I lived in Denver, I had a women's Bible study group that I went to, and that played a big part
Okay.
in my life there. It wasn't where I first accepted, but that was my experience in the city.
Okay.
There was a pastor that came into the bar and took my husband out of the bar after sitting with him for a while. And he started going to church, which made me start.
Awesome story. You too. So the pastor went into the bar intentionally to hang out and,
Well, he was down in that area with his family getting ice cream, and he saw Justin.
Okay? So why was church not a part of your life prior to that?
I have two grandparents that were judgmental Christians, ministers in the Methodist church.
So you think they're all that way, right?
And I was turned off because my mom was turned off.
Okay. Okay.
So she didn't want to go and I didn't.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
My aunt was in the church.
Your aunt?
Yeah, we went, like, my mom and I and my brothers went when we were very young, and I don't have much memory of that. And my mom she got hurt by people in the church, and she left, right?
Okay.
And it wasn't until I was about 12, my aunt started coming and picking me up.
Okay. So I grew up a pastor's kid. And look how well, yes. I didn't want to be a pastor's wife, though. I kind of told God that, but, okay. But because of, growing up in that setting, anyway.
From the time I was born until I was about 13, we were in a more liberal church. And my mom was seeking and started going to Baptist church. And she and I were both baptized, and my dad. And we went Sunday morning, Sunday school, and church, and Sunday night to church, and Wednesday night to church. And he didn't say, I don't want to go. He just knew we were going all the time.
Yeah. And if you weren't 15 minutes early, you were late. That was my dad's training, okay?
My dad kind of, we don't need to get that early. They'll just be singing anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens to rural small towns when someone said this just a few minutes ago, that schools consolidate, and so you don't have a local school anymore? How does that affect rural America, the rural towns? Okay?
Get violent, and they beat up your car when you're on the school board.
Oh. That may be another session we need to talk about, okay? So the school consolidates, and that piece is gone, and then Cabela's are a big...
Even your bars don't.
But sometimes bars are the last to go, right?
They're gone now, there's nothing left.
I think consolidation is a good thing.
Okay, it can be. But what a small town loses its grocery store, and then maybe its post office, that seems to be the pattern, okay? But bars seem to be the things that hang on the longest, okay? And maybe that's what's causing, this and this. Yeah, yeah.
After our three towns consolidated into one school, the school was out in the country in the middle. The town that I lived in, we moved away then, but now I go back and there's just nothing there.
Nothing there.
It's gone. There's a gas station that has a cafe in it, and
That's it.
the store's gone.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we reach? Why should we reach women in rural America to our churches? Okay, who's got Bibles? Open up or turn on your Bible. Okay, someone go to Matthew 28, 19 through 20, and someone else go to Matthew 22, 37 through 40. And if you can say those, just quote them, then it'll save us searching.
Matthew 28, what?
Matthew 28, 19 and 20.
Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
And
Teaching them whatsoever I command you, and lo, I'm with you always, even unto the end of the world.
very good, okay? So that means as you go. Oh, hi, guys. That means as you go. You're supposed to reach, teach, And what are you supposed to teach them? Whatever you've learned, right? Yeah, what he's put you through and what you've learned. So as you go in rural America, you go to the grocery store if you still have one. You go to a restaurant or cafe if you still have one. You go to, where's the nearest Walmart? Sydney, okay. So you travel to the nearest Walmart or shopping center. And as you're going, you share what Jesus has taught you. So it doesn't have to be anything. You don't have to have a seminary degree. Okay? You just share what Jesus has taught you because every woman needs to know that. And there are women you will find that have walked a similar path as you. Okay? If you're strong enough in your rehabilitation, go to a bar. But you've got to be strong enough, prayed up, and have others praying for you. I wouldn't recommend that if you've struggled with it, okay? But you can do that. So as you go, share. So as you're driving down the road, I don't know, I assume there's yard sales or things like that in rural America, right? Because all women collect junk, right? And good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. And so stop. And when you're looking through, you just share what God has done in your life, okay? To reach women. Okay, who has Matthew 22, 37 through 40?
It said, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets.
Okay, you want to reach rural women? How do you do it? Love. Love them. Love them where they are.
That's right.
Okay? And that might have been a mess. Love them where they are, but don't let them stay there. That just brought a tear. Don't let them stay there. Love them enough to bring them out of those situations.
Now I'm the director for Celebrate Recovery in our area. So,
Good for you. That's a good program. Yeah. Good. Okay? Love. Love doesn't involve gossiping. Okay? It doesn't involve cliques. It doesn't involve being judgmental. You know, you see someone covered in tats, and you think,
right.
nope, stay away from them.
You do have to
No.
become a little vulnerable.
You-
That's not easy for all people.
Okay. Okay.
To be able to share where you come from
Absolutely.
in order to show where God took all your tragedy and has now turned it into a glory
Right.
for Him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Word you might think of as transparent. Yes. Instead of vulnerable. But they can see where you've been, but they see where you're going, so they can see way back here, but all the way through to God shining you.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was Angela Thomas who writes many Bible studies for women. She said that sometimes not every detail of your previous life needs to be shared in a public setting. Some of it is between you and God. But you can share enough that people know where you were without details. Yeah. Okay? Okay, Romans 10, 12 through 15, and 1 Thessalonians 5:11. 12 through 15. I'm just trying to get us some biblical basis for why we should try. 1 Thessalonians 5:11 and Romans 10, 12 through 15. Who has one of those? Read it, please. Yeah. Encourage one another, build one another up. Who said it? Knows everyone, but also knows everybody's business. Was that? Okay, in small town, you kind of do, don't you? You know what's going on. Okay, you know just who bought the house with the big front porch. People know that. So you know if there's been an accident, or if somebody's farm has been foreclosed, or loss of job, or something like that. So go and encourage. And that might mean a smile. It might mean I'm so sorry. It might mean a casserole. Okay? Something. It might mean helping with childcare.
Or just shutting up and listening.
Or just listening. Yeah. Listening without forming what you want to say, but truly listening. Okay? 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Oh, I'm sorry. Romans 10:12 through 15. Okay.
For there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord is Lord of all, abounding in riches for all who call on him. For whoever will call on the name of the Lord will be saved.
Absolutely. Okay? So we have this commandment and we have this commission, and that there is no distinction. Every person walking is a child of God. They may be pre-Christian status, but there's still value in God's eyes and should be valued in our eyes. Okay? So that's one reason why we should try. How many of you have tried to reach someone for Christ sometime and had the door just slammed shut in your face? Yeah, it stings, right? But don't let that keep you from doing it again. Yeah, you try again. You try again. Okay, so reaching women to church, we know that if we just love them, encourage them, go with them, provide a need. If we see a need, meet it. If you can. If you can't, see if your church can, meet that need. And it's not always handing out money. And the other thing I need to tell you is that rural doesn't mean just farmers or ranchers, okay? Because in rural settings, there's female doctors, there's female vets, there's female attorneys, there's female school teachers, business owners, all that. So you have professional people in rural America as well, okay? They still, if they've lived there, if they haven't flown in from New York to take over this practice, eventually they'll get to a change in mindset. But there's a different mindset. Rural America is a little bit slower paced than big city. It's like just go, 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 go all the time, and you're constantly, what's my schedule? Where do I go next? And you're going, okay? So when we talk about reaching women for church, do we have to have a formal program? Do we have to have a formal ministry to women? Or can we just make it an intentional and organic ministry?
Structure, there's something to be said about structure and consistency.
Okay.
It has to be a combination of both of those.
With diversity.
With diversity, okay. Okay.
It's important to have something other than Sunday morning for all age groups.
Okay.
To get them back in.
So if you had a Tuesday, midday, afternoon, I don't know, tea or gathering for women in a rural setting, or maybe it's an evening, I don't know, you'd have to contextualize that to your area. Would you have to provide childcare?
Yes. I mean, to have it available if needed would be definitely a...
Okay. So that's where structure, framework, scaffolding around your thing, your intentionality. You need some of that because you do need to be prepared for that. But there doesn't have to be a every Tuesday night, this is on YouTube, Bible study. There doesn't have to be a every Tuesday night Bible study, video-based. There doesn't have to be a retreat once a year. There doesn't have to be a mother-daughter tea. There doesn't have to be a craft night. You don't have to fill a calendar. And in rural America, it's probably best not to, because you already have full calendars, right? You already have. And having someone there that can take care of your kids while you go off and do a craft at the church or something might not even be possible. So you have to look at what you want to do. I think that as soon as you start a program, that program has a shelf life. Okay, you know, if you look at your canned food, it has expires. And like I bought canned salmon one time because I thought, I remember salmon patties, I should do that. And about 4 or 5 years later, I'm like, maybe that should go in the trash, okay? But every time you start a program, it can have a shelf life, meaning it's run its course. So anything that you can do ministering to women just organically, like you've heard that a family is suffering and you get together some women in your church and say, can we go take them meals for a couple days to help them? That's ministering to women as opposed to a women's ministry. Catch that? I'm all about ministry to women, okay?
Some others are reaching out to family, and they live in my community. We live in Montreux, Valentine's Day. The little boy is involved in the church. About 3 months ago, he was staying with Grandma and Grandpa, and Grandpa apparently had an alcohol problem, and he got a gun and shot Grandma and killed her in front of the little boy.
Oh,
He's 8 years old.
oh,
And Grandma was the main sustaining person in the family. So that's been a big issue. And Mom is a drinking problem. And our pastor and another couple of them are trying to work with him. In fact, one of the ladies has him every night after school until the stepdad can pick him up. But as we're talking about, I'm thinking, when the little boy's in school, I need to ask her if I can take her to lunch. I want to build a relationship with her. And I'm thinking maybe that would be a start. And
that'd be great.
I'd like pointers on how to reach out to a person who has an alcohol problem. Any
Yeah,
pointers you give me?
yeah, yeah.
Like definitely want to be judgmental, yeah, I was just looking at her because
I'd become really good friends with her.
because I've
Yeah.
never been around her.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
So that was a need, and they saw it and are working on meeting it, okay? So it depends on where you are and what size town you're in, the distance that people travel to your church. Maybe your church shouldn't meet on Sunday morning. Maybe it should meet Sunday afternoon or evening, depending on what the economy is around you, if it's all farm and stuff like that. I would tell you that ministry to women doesn't have to be a formal program, but it does have to be intentional. And it has to be someone with passion driving the bus, okay? It has to be someone that has their heart, and everybody knows the woman in your church that knows everything about everybody, okay? And so maybe you just visit with her, not that you want to listen to gossip, but maybe she just has heard of a family that's in need or something like that. And then you try to reach out, because when you reach out to meet a need to an unchurched person and you're helping meet that need, then that's love. That's showing love, that's showing encouragement. And they may even ask you, why are you doing this? And then you have an opportunity to share why you're doing it. This is why we want to do this, okay?
How do you reach out to
To what?
a homosexual?
A homosexual? There we go. We don't have enough time. But, okay, well,
Even if they know the Bible says it's a sin, you know, but
I know, but
get to know them and spend time with them. It's the same with any other sin.
I was just gonna say, I heard it said best this last week, that we all have our own things that we struggle with.
Right.
Ours may be easier to overcome and allow God to help us to overcome those, but we all have the sins that we struggle with. And it's just something that we have to overcome and choose not.
and you love them.
Yeah.
Love them. Be a part of their life. Get to know them. And if you'll do it, in graceful ways, grace-filled ways, then you earn the right to get into a conversation. But if you go to them and say, you are living in sin and you're going to go to hell or whatever it is right up front, you've just lost that right for any additional conversation. Yeah. We just talked about this at one of my meetings is in today's age where everyone is so quick to say, don't judge me. Do you ever hear that? What gives you the right to judge me? You hear that a lot. And it's so how do we as Christians earn the right to stay in the conversation without them saying, what gives you the right to judge me?
You have to love them and build that relationship and grow to that point. You can't, I'll go from experience, I've got family members, and I didn't stop loving them because of their lifestyle. I still love them because they're a family.
Right.
And through that, we built that relationship to where we can talk. They know
Yes.
where I stand. And
Yeah.
all like that. And it's not a battle.
And if you
Good.
get that common ground, there seems to be that respect. If you can share what he has brought you through, then they're a little more receptive and willing to talk about where they're at without thinking like
Right.
you might strike them or.
Right. Right. Uh-huh.
There was a man that made a syntax faux pas in the other room earlier, and he was supposed to come out differently, but he said, will you love them by your truth, by your heart, love by your heart? And it just hit me, and I wrote it down in big letters, love by your heart, not our heads, not our feelings, not our upbringing,
Not our fear,
not our fear, not our whatever.
because homosexuality is not contagious. Okay? So you can hang out with those homosexuals and not become one. You won't catch it. Yeah. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Who we are and what we do is not the same thing. We are not what we do. We have to remember our sin doesn't make us who we are. Or our righteousness, our self-doing doesn't make it. We have to realize God has created a human, a person, a spirit, and that is who you are.
Okay. Very good. Well said. I just want to say to this, when you're trying to reach women in rural settings, the Bible is sufficient as a resource. Okay? You don't need any of the other studies. If you've got your Bible, you've got a sufficient resource right there. Okay? And also, be enthusiastic as a believer. When you're trying to reach someone for Christ and you're like all down and, why would they want that? So be enthusiastic, be able to share what he's doing in you right now, not what he did 20 years ago, but what he's still doing, okay? Be enthusiastic as a church member, as a Christian in your community and in your environment. Be enthusiastic. And then see a need and meet it. See a need and meet it. Now, I come from a bigger city, so I always say, but be smart about it. Rural setting, maybe I should still say, be smart about it. Because you don't know, there's people out there that are out for harm, But you can do that. I love that a pastor went into a bar, followed a guy into a bar. I love that. If you just ask, if you wake up each morning and ask God, or just before you go shopping or you take your kids to school or whatever it might be, and you ask God, put someone in my path today, he will do it. He will do it. So you just got to have your eyes open for ministry. Many times we get too busy and we miss it. We miss this chance to meet a need or to talk with a woman or just to encourage a woman along the way.
I heard about somebody that asked, there was a room beside this bar, and somebody asked the owner if they could start a Bible study there, and they did, and they started getting people drinking in that would get interested.
I don't know if rural Nebraska has strip clubs or not. Do y'all have them out here? Nobody really knows?
I know they had one in Holdridge.
Okay.
Some along the interstate.
Along the interstate? Well, if you're strong and not in a recovery situation from that kind of a lifestyle or something, I've participated with churches going into strip clubs in Junction City, Kansas, which is right outside of a military base. And it was unbelievable how the bartenders, the owners, have welcomed them and into those. And several women have come out of that now because of that relationship. So look at your areas. Don't be afraid of any place that you think, oh, I shouldn't go there. Well, maybe you should, but maybe you should get some training first. Maybe you should get, a group together to pray about it first. But it can happen. It can work. Okay. I worked with women out of the sex trade business for years, and at first it's shocking, the stories you hear, and then it's really good to hear their stories and be able to bring Jesus into their life and see a change and a transformation. So, it's 12:30. You weren't supposed to say that. You were supposed to say, be quiet. Thank you. Okay. So let's wrap this up. What's one thing you know about reaching women for church in rural areas? Love them, see a need and meet it. Anything else?
Minister to women, not just women.
Okay, minister to women. Very good. Okay, good. Those are good points to remember. Okay, the Bible is enough. It is. It truly is. Become transparent and vulnerable. And be enthusiastic. Wow, y'all listened. Okay, Father, thank you so much for this time that we've had together and just share about our sisters and women in our areas, in rural settings, that, Father, they need you. And maybe they just need to heal from a church hurt in the past, or maybe they've never experienced church. It wasn't part of their growing up, but they're looking for something. Let these women be the start of a movement that sweeps across rural Nebraska, and women are reached through love, through passion, through needs being met, and that we are passionate and enthusiastic about sharing what you've done in our life. Thank you now as we go into lunch and just bless that food. In Jesus' name, amen.